Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this virtual meeting of the Falls Township Zoning Hearing Board. I'm Dan Mellish, your chairperson. Tonight, our board consists of myself, Bill Kiernan, Al Brooks, and Scott Dioria. Our solicitor tonight is Keith Bidlingmeyer. Just at the onset of this, we'd like to let you know that we have a 4-person panel tonight, meaning that if the votes come down 2-2, your petition would be denied. So anyone who wishes to have a continuance may do so at the onset of the petition. Good enough, Keith?
Yes, thank you.
Excellent. Okay. All right. We're going to clean up the agenda a little bit here. Petition number 8. Selco Partnership, DBA Verizon Wireless, 400 North Oxford Valley Road, Langhorne, PA. Requesting an appeal of the determination of the zoning officer denying zoning permit application for proposed non-tower based WCF on rooftop. We received a letter from the petition solicitor. Keith, you want to enter that into the?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, good evening. We received correspondence from Christopher Schubert, who represents the applicant on petition number 8, Selco Partnership. They have requested a continuance until the next listed meeting, which would be October. Sorry. Could be
13th.
October 13th. And hopefully by then they will have certain matters straightened out for their application. He is available by cell phone, meaning Mr. Schubert, if we have any questions of him. However, I think it'd be appropriate now, since since the meeting has been opened, that this matter be continued on the record to the next monthly meeting.
Excellent. Do we have a motion to continue this petition to the October 13th meeting?
Make a motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. So that is continued until the October 13th meeting. And all documents are available to the township website for viewing.
Mr. Chairman,
Okay.
I'm sorry. I should have pointed out that he also, in his request, waived any applicable time periods that we would have to hold a zoning hearing board meeting in regards to their application. So I received that in writing. I'm sorry.
Okay. Thank you. There, the letter as read. Okay. Can we load petition number 1?
Yes.
All right, good evening. Okay, we'll start here. Petition number 1, Nishit Kumar Patel, 12 Elwood Road, Fallsington, PA, 19054, requesting a dimensional variance to erect a fence in the secondary front yard. This was continued from the August 11th meeting for improper placement of the placard. So thank you for coming back, Mr. Patel. We're going to have you sworn in by our court reporter now, okay? Next voice you hear will be yours.
Sure. Thank you.
Mr. Patel, do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Patel, if you can give us just a brief moment, we're going to mark some of the exhibits for your petition, and then we'll turn it over to you, okay? Again.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, we'll mark the application for zoning ordinance appeal ZHB 1. 2 will be a permit denial letter from Falls Township dated July 1st, 2020. 3 will be a drawing of the subject property and the proposed fence. 4 is a hardship letter submitted by applicant dated July 15th, 2020. 5 will be the applicant and neighbor notification letters as required, which were mailed July 27th, 2020. 6 will be applicant's request to have this matter held via Zoom. And 7 will be three pages containing 3 color photographs, one of which shows that the property was posted as required. 8 will be 2 pages containing 4 color photographs, 2 of which show that the site triangle. 9 will be a letter from my office dated August 18th in regards to the applicant's continuance request. 10 will be proof of publication in the Bucks County Courier-Times showing that this matter was published July 28th and then again August 4th, 2020. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'm satisfied the appropriate notice have been satisfied. This matter can proceed.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Patel, all yours.
Thank you for allowing me to represent myself again. We are a proud residents of the Fallsington Woods community for past 4 years. I have 2 beautiful young daughters, 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. Since the day we purchased this home, just because the way we are situated, my kids have not been able to play freely outside. And as you can understand from, the current pandemic and stuff, we just wanted to make sure that we can provide them with the safe environment so they can play freely. Therefore, we requested an application to apply for the permit so that we can erect the fence. And hence we received the letter that, we couldn't put the fence on the secondary front yard. So therefore, we wanted to make sure that we could utilize that area of the backyard or consider as a secondary front yard where I can play a nice playable safe area for my daughters. But at the same time, I wanted to ensure that it is not going to come in any way as a harm to the community or surrounding residents or in a site of, the triangle that we consider that it will not impede or prohibit that visibility from oncoming traffic on both sides. Therefore, I sincerely request your permission to allow me to erect a fence in that area.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Patel. I'm going to have some of our board ask you questions if they have any, okay?
Sure.
Excellent. Bill?
You see the site triangle, you agree that the fence will not be inside that triangle, you understand that?
Yes, I will make sure that it will not be. I have not seen it, but as far as I remember when, the way I kind of, I submitted the application, I determined that it will not be on the proposed plan that I submitted for the variance.
All right, thank you. And one other question. In your denial letter, it says a plot plan is required showing any sewer easements. Do you have any sewer easements on your property?
Not that I'm aware of. I had asked, an engineer that from the the contractor who was going to put the fence, and he will ensure that. And he came in and he did say that there was none, but he will ensure that prior to erecting a fence that it's not going to cause any issue.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Al?
I have nothing.
Scott?
Yeah, I'm just with the site triangle. I see that you've got like 2 feet away from the sidewalk in one plan. Another plan it says 2 to 3 feet off the sidewalk. Just wondering, where are we going to draw the line at for this as far as off the sidewalk?
Got you. So I was originally submitted at 26 feet. Of course, that was not appropriate. So in my variance, I asked for 3 feet away, which would bring the fence up to 23 feet. I would request, even if it is permissible within that site triangle, if I can erect up to 24 feet, that would be great.
Maybe I'm not seeing the cone right with the triangle, but it looks like you're almost going to be going back even further, almost 4 feet, if not more.
Okay, I mean, I'm okay with, as long as, we will not be in that side triangle, I'm fine with whatever you say. Maybe, I'm okay to bring 1 foot more back in.
Does Ed or someone come out to take a look at that?
As far as I know, yeah, he was.
Just to give you a heads up, I measure 23 feet off the house. That's where you're seeing that cone at. So he's okay at 23 feet. I didn't go to 26 feet. I didn't measure that. So I only measured 23 feet, and he's pretty good with 23 feet.
23, 26 probably is the sidewalk line, approximately, Ed, you think?
It might be 2 feet off the sidewalk, maybe.
Okay.
I can always go back out there and remeasure it and help him
As
out.
long as it's not going to be a hindrance
You know.
to any of the cars or anything.
As long as you're stopping out, Ed, I'm good with it.
Yeah, I can do that. It's not a problem.
Excellent. Okay, I have no questions. Do we have any public comments or questions for this petition?
No.
Was there any correspondence through the township for this petition?
not.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Okay. Let the record reflect there's no public comments or questions. Any further board comments or questions before we vote? No? Okay. Would someone like to make a motion on this petition?
I'll make the motion. I move that the application of Nish Patel requesting a dimensional variance from section 209-37C2 of the Falls Township zoning ordinance be granted to erect a fence in the secondary front yard at the property located at 12 Allendale Road, Fallsington, Pennsylvania 19054, as depicted on the plans and in accordance with the testimony presented to the zoning hearing board.
We have a second.
Second that.
Okay, Scott, could you pull the board, please?
Yes, myself is yes. Bill,
Yes.
Al,
Yes.
and Dan.
Yes. All right, Mr. Patel, your variance is passed. You're granted, I mean, you'll receive a letter from the township about next steps, okay?
Okay, thank you very much.
Great, have a good night. Thank you. Okay, petition number 2. Daniel W. Helmuth, 64 Noblewood Lane, Levittown, PA, requesting a dimensional variance for a shed that encroaches into the minimum distance between buildings. Okay, Mr. Helmuth, is someone else speaking also?
I believe Ann wished to say something as well.
Okay, and
Is that
what about
true?
you?
I don't think so.
You want to go
Okay.
first?
Okay, can we swear, I guess we can swear everybody in on
Sure.
who's on the meeting right now, Karen?
Okay, so we're Walsh, Helmut, and Donahue, all three?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Do you all swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. Okay, Mr. Helmuth, we're going to mark some exhibits for your petition, and then we'll get started.
Mr. Chairman, we'll mark the application for zoning ordinance appeal as ZHB1 along with the accompanying statement from Mr. Helmuth. 2 will be the permit denial letter from Falls Township dated August 12th, 2020. 3 is an impervious calculation sheet. 4 is a plan for the proposed property, 64 Noblewood Lane. 5 is a plot plan. 6 will be 3 letters from neighbors in regards to this petition. We'll mark them collectively as 1. 7 is a 2014 realtor listing in regards to this property. 8 is 2 pages containing 4 colored photographs, one of which shows that the property was posted as required. 9 will be the applicant and neighbor notification letters dated August 26, 2020. 10 is applicant's Zoom waiver authorizing the township to conduct this meeting by Zoom. 11 is proof of publication in the Bucks County Courier Times showing that this matter was published August 25th and then again September 1st, 2020. I believe that is all the board exhibits, Mr. Chairman. And with that, I'm satisfied the appropriate notices have been satisfied and this matter can proceed.
Okay, Mr. Helmuth, give me 1 second. Mr. Cola, does the township have a position?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the township will not be taking party status on this application, but did want to put on the record that the condition at issue existed when the applicant purchased the property, and it existed for many years, in fact, prior to the applicant's purchase.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Cole. All right, Mr. Helmuth, your turn.
Well, let me just take a moment and thank you guys for, hearing us out. We bought the property in 2014. The shed was already on the property when we bought it. We were unaware of it being non-compliant until we were selling the property, and the township inspector came out in August. At that point, we went and talked to the neighbors, and we let them know what was going on. Made sure we asked if they were okay with the shed being where it was. And they said they have no issues with it. It's not on any sewer easement, or anything like that. It's non-compliant. It's 7 feet from the house, where I believe the zone, it says 10. But it was there prior, and I don't wish to take it down. We did get a temporary UNO, and the new buyers are in the house, and they don't wish to have it taken down. And like I said, all the neighbors were okay with the shed being where it is. It's a very nice shed, sturdy. That's all.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to open it up now for some board questions. Anybody has any, Bill?
I have none, thank you.
Al?
No, I see it was pre-existing. I have no questions.
Scott?
Whether as long as they keep the alleyway, between the buildings and the shed clear, that's all.
I have no questions. Besides the letters that were received, is there any public comments, questions?
No.
No? Okay. Mr. Donahue, Ms. Walsh, anything you'd like to add?
Just thank you for hearing us out. We were just hoping that it could be grandfathered in. We were sure there was a UNO issued in 2014 when Mr. Helmuth purchased the property. It does have electric. It's very nice. And I know that the Donahues bought the property with the intention of having a shed there. We would just hope that you would give us some consideration there.
Great.
Thank you.
Mr. Donahue.
Yeah, just wanted to thank you for the opportunity to speak. And like Dan and Mrs. Walsh said, it's a very nice shed. We have storage in it already. I mean, lawnmower, things like that. I mean, it was one of the reasons why we bought the house, because we moved up, and it's a very good shed. We just appreciate your time. Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. Okay, no further board questions. I'd ask for a motion on this petition.
Yeah, I can make the motion.
I'll make a motion.
All right, go on. I just asked on the motion, I had to change it around a little bit because it says erect the shed, and the shed's already erected. So I moved that the applicants of Daniel Hilmer requesting dimensional variance from section 209-20.f and table 1 of the Falls Township zoning ordinance be granted. It says to erect. What's the wording I would want to put there? It's already to keep the existing.
Yeah, I mean, because Matt can correct me if I'm wrong. The permit still has to be issued for that shed
Okay.
to allow it to remain. So you can, Bill, you can say to remain or leave it as it's written.
It's still an erection permit.
All right, to erect the shed that encroaches into the minimum distance between the buildings at the property located at 64 Noblewood Lane, Levittown, Pennsylvania 19054, and depicted on the plans and in accordance with the testimony presented to the zoning hearing board.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Scott, pull the board, please.
I'll second that. Myself, yes. Bill,
Yes.
Al,
Yes.
and Dan.
Yes. Okay, you'll receive a letter from our solicitor, and then
Thank
be able to get the proper permitting and everything else. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Have a
You
good
too.
night.
Bye.
Good evening, Robert and Alyssa. How are you?
Good evening. How are you?
Okay, so this is petition number 3, Robert and Alyssa Martin, 5 Vital Oak Lane, Levittown, PA, requesting dimensional variances to erect an addition which encroaches into the side yard setback and is over the allowable maximum impervious surface coverage. We're going to have you guys sworn in now before we get started. Next voice you hear will be our court reporter.
Do you both swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you very much. Now we're going to read some exhibits for your petition and mark them into the record, okay? Then we'll turn it over to you guys.
Mr. Chairman, we'll mark the application for zoning ordinance appeal ZHB1 along with the accompanying statement from the applicants. 2 will be a permit denial letter from Falls Township dated August 13th, 2020. 3 is a site plan. 4 is a plot plan. 5 is the impervious calculation sheet. 6 will be 2 pages, one containing a front elevation picture, and the second page contains left and right side elevation. 7 will be 2 pages containing 4 color photographs, one of which shows that the property was posted for tonight's meeting. 8 is the applicant and neighbor notification letters as required from Falls Township dated August 26, 2020. 9 is applicant's waiver to have this meeting held by Zoom. 10 is proof of publication in the Bucks County Courier Times showing that this matter was published August 25th and then again September 1st, 2020. That is all the board exhibits, Mr. Chairman, and I'm satisfied the appropriate notices have been satisfied and this matter can proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Billy Meyer. Okay, Robert, Alyssa, what's going on?
We're seeking permission and variances to erect an addition that would increase our living space for our expanding family as a part of a whole house remodel, to update and improve the look of our home and make it more appealing to the neighborhood as currently existing. We see there's a couple other houses around the neighborhood that have gone and done similar expansions. Regarding the setback issue, we're following out the existing original footprint on the front of the house. And in doing so, we go into the setback by 1 foot 2 inches at the corner point. We wanted to expand the entire front of the house across, including the garage side, but noticed that would have been a setback issue as well. And we figured to us it's more important to increase our living space, bedroom space, and whatnot, rather than just the garage storage space, because we pick up storage elsewhere. Regarding the impervious surfaces, according to the calculations, we're over by only 33.7 square feet. That's, I believe, using the county deeded lot size, which takes out the easement in the back, which we already cannot build on. So taking into consideration the amount of grass that's back there where we cannot build on, we gain back more than the required 33 square feet necessary in impervious coverage to go forward and do this addition. Do you have anything to add? That's all I have for now.
Okay, no problem. What I'll do now is I'm going to open it up for some questions from our board, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Great. Bill?
I'm just looking, is all the impervious surface, is that including all the walkway around the pool? Everything's in here? The walkway along the house?
Yep, everything that you see in the site plan and the site plan has everything that's in the yard existing. I'm aware that some of the pool concrete is there and that's due to be rectified. The pools were very, very old. We put priority on fixing up the house prior to remediating the pool.
All right, yeah, I'm just looking at this. All right, go on. If I have any questions, I'll let you know. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll circle back, I'm sure. Al?
I have nothing at this time, Dan.
Okay, Scott?
Yeah, just looking at the impervious surface, again, you have you've got the large existing patio pavers, you've got the pool, and now the addition. Do you have any intention of doing anything with your stormwater runoff to get that water underground? So
yeah, so I do.
Does it become a surface runoff issue?
I'm sorry. I do intend to install a French drain system around the perimeter of the house, just to get some of the stormwater away from the property, and so it doesn't roll into neighbors' yards and cause water issues. And so I do have somewhat of a mitigation plan for that.
Okay,
Okay,
very good, thank you.
excellent. I don't have any questions at this time. Bill?
No, I was just thinking about the flooding,
Yeah.
that this might, add to, because there is a lot of cement in that yard, including the house. Just wondering where all that water will be going.
I mean, I can propose that I can pull up some additional patio blocks to mitigate that problem a little bit further. If you think that would help enough.
No, I personally, I think if you work with the township on some kind of, as you say, mitigation for your water runoff, I think that would suffice myself.
Okay.
Excellent. Any further questions from the board, comments? No, any public comments, questions for this petition? No, thank you. Matt, anything we should know about correspondence-wise for the township?
No correspondence.
Thank you. All right, without any further questions, would someone like to make a motion?
I can make that motion. I move the application of Robert and Alyssa Martin requesting dimensional variance from section 20920F and table 1 of the Falls Township zoning ordinance be granted to erect an addition which encroaches into the side yard setback and is over the allowable maximum impervious surface coverage at the property located at 5 Vital Oak Lane, Levittown, Pennsylvania, 19054 as depicted on the plans and in accordance with the testimony presented to the zoning hearing board.
We have a second.
I'll second that.
Scott, pull the board, please.
Myself, yes. Bill?
Yes.
Yes.
Al?
Yes.
And Dan?
Yes. Okay, guys, you'll get a letter from the solicitor regarding the petition and everything. So it's been approved.
Okay.
So
Thank you so
Thank you for
much,
the
guys.
thank you for the opportunity.
yeah, good luck. Thank you.
Thank
you.
Good evening.
Hi, how are you?
Excellent.
Good.
Okay. So this is petition number 4, Susan Pianoforte.
Yes.
Close enough, sorry. 242 Trenton Road, Fairless Hills, PA. Requesting a dimensional variance to erect an addition which encroaches into the side yard setback.
Yes.
Okay, Susan, I'm going to have you sworn in by our court reporter. The next voice you hear will be hers.
Okay, thank you.
Do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that. And then give us a brief moment. We're going to enter in some of the exhibits for your petition, and then I'm going to turn it over to you, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, we'll mark the the application for zoning ordinance appeal as ZHB 1, along with applicant's statement in support. 2 will be a permit denial letter dated July 15, 2020 from Falls Township to the applicant. 3 is an impervious calculation sheet. 4 is at the top is labeled Bucks County Parcel and Floodplain Viewer. 5 will be
We lost Keith.
2 pages containing 4 color photographs, one of which is the applicant and neighbor notification letters to me.
Karen, I'm sorry, Keith, you really cut out there for a good bit.
You started
At 5?
That was
At
the
5.
last. 5 was the last that I heard.
5, I'm sorry. 6 is the
No,
applicant.
what is 5? I don't know what 5 is.
Sorry.
That's okay.
It is 2 pages containing 4 color photographs, one of which shows that the property was posted for tonight's meeting as required. 6 is the applicant and neighbor notification letters from Falls Township dated August 26, 2020. 7 is applicant's waiver to have this meeting held by Zoom. 8 is proof of publication of the Bucks County. County Courier Times, showing this matter was published August 25th. Again, that is all the board exhibits. And with that, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Karen, you got all that? I think
Got it.
Got
all
it.
came through. Yep, thank you. Okay, Ms. Pianoforte, it's up to you. What's going on?
I would like to thank everyone to take time to listen to why I needed a bathroom built. I want to have a bathroom built onto my master bedroom. I have a few medical conditions that the bathroom that I have now existing in my house, I can't get my walker into. And I have plantar fasciitis, bone spurs. I'm in a cast now. I have L4, L5 herniated discs that I get epidurals. It's in the hardship letter. And I get sciatica so bad that I cannot lift my leg to get into this bathtub, that I fell a few times, and I live alone. And I wanted to have a bathroom built where I can get a walk-in shower and a bar built in there and a stool where I can sit down. It's more for safety than it is for luxury.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to open it up for some questions from our board.
Sure.
Okay, Bill?
I have none.
Al?
I have nothing.
Scott? Sorry, Scott, I can't, having trouble hearing you.
I see what she's doing. Everything's good. I'm okay.
Okay, great. Yeah, I have no questions either. Is there any public comments, questions?
No.
And no public comments, questions?
No.
Anything we should know about through the township on this petition, Matt?
No correspondence.
Okay, great. Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make the motion, Dan. I moved that the application of Susan Forte requesting a dimensional variance from section 209-20F and table 1 of the Falls Township zoning ordinance be granted to erect an addition which encroaches into the side yard setback at the property located at 242 Trenton Road, Fairless Hills, Pennsylvania, 19054, as depicted on the plans in accordance with the testimony presented to the zoning hearing board.
I'll second.
Yes. Okay, pull the board, please. Scott?
Myself, yes. Bill,
Yes.
Al,
Yes.
and Dan.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I
Okay,
appreciate
Susan,
it.
you'll get a letter from our solicitor's office regarding, what's going on, next steps and everything, but it's been approved, so good luck.
Okay, thank you so much, gentlemen. Have a good
Have a
evening.
good night.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Freeze. You're on mute. Good evening, Mr. Freeze. You have your volume muted. Your microphone muted.
I was in the waiting room still. I'm representing Mr. Freeze on the application.
Yep. Good evening, Mr. McGinnis. We're just trying to get him his microphone on.
Dan, can you click the unmute?
Got
There.
There we are. Okay. All right, let me open this petition here.
Thank you.
Petition number 5, Daniel and Sandra Freeze, 1372 Bristol Pike, Marsville, PA, requesting a dimensional variance to erect a garage which exceeds the allowable 50% expansion of a non-conforming use. Okay. Good evening, Mr. McGinnis. Well, we're going to have your client sworn in at this point. Okay.
Very good.
Mr. Freeze, next voice you hear will be our court reporter.
Mr. Freeze, do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And we'll begin marking exhibits for the petition. Okay, Mr. McGinnis.
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, we'll mark the application for zoning ordinance appeal as ZHB 1, along with the accompanying statement. 2 will be a letter from Mr. McGinnis dated August 26, 2020, in regards to a change in the plans. 3 is a revised plan of the proposed garage. 4 is the impervious calculation sheet. 5 is the applicant and neighbor notification letters as required, sent from Falls Township dated August 26, 2020. 6 is applicant's waiver to have this matter heard via Zoom. 7 is the proof of publication, the Bucks County Courier Times, showing this matter was published August 25th, and then again September 1st, 2020. 8 is 2 pages containing 4 colored photographs, one of which shows that the property was posted as required. I believe that is all the board exhibits. I was provided an email this morning from Mr. McGinnis's office sending forth a certificate of service. It appears that Mr. McGinnis also served the adjoining or abutting property owners. What I'll do is I'll mark that email, the certificate of service, and the notice as A1 collectively. If Mr. McGinnis, if you don't have any pre-marked exhibits.
No, I do not. I would just note that the August 26th correspondence, I think, did also provide a few letters from neighbors who voiced their non-opposition to the application.
Okay. And give me 1 second. What I'll do is I will mark them. Mr. McGinnis, I don't have them in my packet. Do you have a copy?
They're in our packets.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, what I'll do is I'll mark your copy. What I'll do is, if I can ask, Mr. McGinnis, did you provide those letters to the township?
I did, yes.
Okay. So what I'll do is instead of marking them as a board exhibit, I'll mark them as applicant's exhibit, and I'll mark them collectively as A2.
Great.
And then I'll make that part of our packet. I'm sorry, part of the exhibits, and then I will obtain a copy from the township. Very well. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'm satisfied the appropriate notice has been satisfied, and this matter can proceed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Billingmeyer. Mr. McGinnis.
Thank you very much. Good evening. We're here on behalf of Dan and Sandra Fries, the property owners of 1372 Bristol Pike, Morrisville, tax parcel 134033. The property is presently zoned LI, which is why we're here tonight, because there's a residential use on site in the light industrial zoning district. Presently, the property is improved by a single family detached dwelling on a little over half an acre. The house on site is approximately 1,000 square feet with the rear patio and a front covered porch. There's also a garage and a small shed to the rear. And the small shed, as we indicated in correspondence, we're intending to remove, assuming this is granted and we go through the appropriate processes moving forward after tonight to permit the construction of the 50 by 24 garage. We are proposing to build a garage of that dimension to the rear of the lot. And as Mr. Fries is here to testify to, the purpose of the construction is for the storage of 3 classic cars, which my client's insurance provider has requested be stored undercover and which are currently on lot as we stand here tonight. This is in addition, of course, to the storage of other items and materials which can't be adequately housed in the shed, which is 8 by 10, which is on site. This would be, we think, a by right application, except that this is a current non-conforming use, and we cannot increase the non-conforming use by greater than 50%, which this would be, and therefore we're requesting a variance from section 209-41 of the zoning ordinance. Of course, I would note that the garage, if approved, is not going to be utilized at all for residential or living purposes. I would also note what I said at the beginning, which is that the adjacent property owners, 1344 and 1358 Bristol Pike, have no objection to the application, and our review indicated that they also have what we would consider to be very large storage areas to the rear of their property, which my client's happy to detail if the board would like to hear that. Will remain well under the allowed impervious surface percentage and the building coverage limits for the site. And I do have Mr. Fries with me to just provide a bit more detail of what he's hoping to accomplish, if I can have him testify. All right. All right. Mr. Fries, can you please state your name for the record?
Sure. It's Daniel Fries, F-R-E-A-S.
Okay. And can you say for the board where you currently live and how long you've resided there?
I live at 1372 Bristol Pike in Morrisville, PA. We purchased the property in December of 2016. Moved in the beginning of 2017.
Okay. And who do you live there with?
Just my wife and a couple animals.
Okay. And the property as it's currently constituted has a single family detached residence on it. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. And when was it built?
In 1940.
Okay. And can you explain for the board briefly what you're attempting to build on site and why we're here tonight?
Well, I have presently, it's called a 2-car garage, and you can get 1 car in there pretty easily. I found out that you cannot get 2 in there all the time. I hit one of the cars bringing it in. I haven't discussed that with the insurance company yet, but I'm just looking to find a little bit more room and maybe even get a place for my riding mower that won't fit in a 4-foot door.
And what sort of classic cars do you have, Mr. Freeze?
Well, I have a 1979 Mustang Indy Pace car. I have a 1977 Mercury Capri, and I have a 2003 Ford Ranger Thunderbolt.
Okay. And those are presently at your property?
Yes, they are.
Okay. And you want to construct a garage to store them undercover, is that correct?
That is correct, yeah.
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
They're just strewn about the yard. I mean, there's one on the patio, there's one in the garage, and one in the driveway.
And have you been in contact with your insurance provider?
I have not talked to them. I had the 2 cars in the garage for a while, and until I changed the oil in one of them, when I tried to put it back, I hit the other car, and that's when the other car stayed out. The truck was in Princeton for 6 months at the garage at work, and it was just a little inconvenience because it's almost 20 miles away.
And I represented to the board that as part of the application, you're willing to remove the 8x10 shed as we move forward if this is approved?
Yes, that's no problem. I can put the lawn equipment in the garage.
Okay. And this addition, the garage is not going to be used whatsoever for any residential living or anything of that nature. Is that correct?
That's correct. No plumbing, no, I'm not even planning on electricity at this time.
Okay. And can you just very briefly explain to the board what your adjacent property owners have to the rear of their property, if you're aware of that?
Well, I go to the first house to my right. He has a 30 by 60 garage. The house next door has a shed and a workshop in his backyard. Then we go one more house and it's a print shop. We go to my left. The gentleman there has 3 shipping containers in the back of his lot. And the house next to that is a decent sized carport that he had erected a few years ago.
Okay, so you believe a garage of this nature would be in keeping and consistent with your neighbors and the surrounding community, is that right?
If not better. If you go a few more feet, you find the junkyards where there's like 15 cars just parked out in the lawn. So.
And have you discussed this? I made the representation to the board that we've provided letters from your neighbors. I'm assuming you've discussed this with your neighbors?
Oh, yes. I went down and talked to the 2 neighbors to the right and left, all gave full approval.
Okay. And if this is approved, moving forward, you're willing and able to work with any additional requirements that might be imposed by the township in consulting with Matt Takita, the township manager, or Joe Jones, the township engineer. Is that right?
Yes. Yes. I see no problem with that.
Okay. I have nothing further, Mr. Freeze.
Nor do I.
Thank you. We're going to open it up for some board questions at this point, Mr. McGinnis.
Thank you.
Your client be free to answer, of course. Bill?
I have none.
Okay, Al?
I have nothing. It was pretty straightforward what you're looking to do.
Scott?
Yeah, just because it is a garage and you do have cars there, I'm seeing that your driveway comes awfully short of actually making it to the garage. So going forward in the future, is that something you're going to think about paving later, or is that something you're going to leave as stones so that you don't come close to the impervious surface calculations?
I was planning on just stone, if that. My neighbor drives his car across the yard. It's not like these are daily drivers. I don't think either of those cars have put on 500 miles in a year, so it's not like they're in and out of there.
Great.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Scott? Yeah, thank you. I have no questions. Any public comments, questions?
No public comment.
Thank you. Matt, besides the 4 letters that were in the packet in support of this, any other correspondence with the township?
No other correspondence.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. McGinnis, anything in closing?
That is all. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make the motion.
You got it?
Yeah. I move that the application of Daniel and Susan Fries requesting a dimensional variance from section 20941 of the Falls Township zoning ordinance be granted to erect a garage which exceeds the allowable 50% expansion of a non-conforming use at the property located on 1372 Bristol Pike, Morrisville, Pennsylvania 19067 as depicted on the plans and in accordance with the testimony presented to the zoning hearing board.
For a second.
Second it.
All right, Scott, pull the board, please.
Self, yes. Bill?
Yes.
Al?
Yes.
And Dan?
Yes. All right, Mr. Fruz, your petition is passed. You'll receive a letter through probably Mr. McGinnis. Next steps. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate your approval.
Have a good night.
All right.
Okay. The petition number 6, Endurance Sports, Inc., 225 Lincoln Highway, Suite B1, Fair Hills, PA. Requesting a use variance to allow business that involves the exchange, delivery of merchandise, specifically a showroom with ski, snowboard rental area. Miss Corona?
Peronia, yes.
Peronia, thank you. Sorry about that. We're going to have you sworn in before we get started. Mr. McGinnis, you're also representing Ms. Iker? Okay.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Nice and easy. Thank you. The next voice you hear will be our court reporter to swear you in, okay?
Thank you.
You swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Peronia, we're going to turn it over to Mr. McGinnis in a second. We're going to mark some exhibits for the petition first.
Mr. Chairman, we'll mark the application for zoning ordinance appeal ZHB1 along with the accompanying statement. 2 is a denial letter from Falls Township dated July 10, 2020. 3 is a letter from Barbara Coronia, president of Endurance Sports, to Peter Gray, former township manager, dated June 16, 2020. 4 is a letter from 225 Lincoln Properties to Mr. Takita, township manager, dated May 12, 2020. 5 is a plan of the Endurance Sports Building B, Suite B1. 6 is the letter to the applicant dated August 26, 2020. That also includes applicant's waiver to have this matter heard by Zoom. 7 will be 2 pages containing 4 colored photographs, one of which shows that the property was posted as required. 8 is proof of publication, the Bucks County Courier Times, showing this matter was published August 25th and then again September 1st, 2020. It was previously provided by Mr. McGinnis, the certificate of service to the adjoining or abutting property owners as required by Falls Township ordinance. What I'll do is I'll mark that as A1 if Mr. McGinnis doesn't have any other pre-marked exhibits.
That is it. Thank you.
Okay. And Mr. Chairman, I have reviewed their certificate of service. It meets the requirements. And with all of that, I believe that the appropriate notices have been satisfied and this matter can proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Billingmeyer. Mr. McGinnis.
Thank you very much. Mike McGinnis here on behalf of Endurance Sports, Inc. The property at issue is 225 Lincoln Highway and specifically Suite B1. I believe that the township and the board certainly is familiar with that property and the variety of uses and tenants at the location. However, for the purpose of our application, unfortunately, since the property is zoned OIP, there are a series of uses which are permitted by right, but this is not one of them. Endurance Sports, which we'll get into momentarily, is seeking to lease approximately 1,500 square feet as an office slash showroom and a ski slash snowboard rental area. That's not permitted by right, meaning we need a variance from 209-32-1 B1A. Just to give a brief bit of background about Endurance, they've been in Lower Bucks County since 2000. Some members of the board might be familiar with the fact that they were operating by the Carlucci's off of Oxford Valley Road before they were, unfortunately, like many businesses, severely impacted by COVID recently. They are hoping to stay in business and have identified this site as the opportunity to do so. And I will just impress upon the board the exigency really of the application because they're hoping to get approval before the winter season, given the nature of the business. The hope is that the demand due to the sort of the push for outdoor activities and sports right now in the climate we live in will generate revenue and allow Endurance to thrive at this site for ski and snowboard rentals and sales and accompanying material with that business. The products on site are skis, boots, snowboards, clothing, and tools for skiing and snowboard equipment. There aren't going to, there's not going to be any physical building construction associated here. And I would note additionally that Endurance actually is very familiar with the property. They're currently leasing space for warehousing at Suite M10 at the property. So they're familiar with the building, they're familiar with the landlord, and they believe this would be an appropriate use. The particular suite at issue was previously occupied by Quality Flooring. And then I would also note that we have a letter with Mr. Bidlingmeyer noted from the landlord supporting the application provided by Bill, the general manager on the site. I do have Barbara with me tonight, who's the president of Endurance Sports, and I would like to offer her for testimony here to provide a bit more background about her business and why she thinks that this is a consistent use and a positive use to bring to Falls Township.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Barbara. Can you please state your name and your role with Endurance Sports for the record?
Sure. My name is Barbara Caronia, and I'm the president of Endurance Sports.
All right, great. And when was Endurance Sports created?
2000. We opened the location at the Oxford Oaks Center in November of 2000.
Okay. And I provided a bit of a summary, but can you expand somewhat with what Endurance does, what products Endurance sells?
Sure. We're a winter sports venue. We service and sell ski, snowboard equipment and clothing, and do a lot of rentals as far as seasonal leases of that equipment and also daily rentals.
Okay. Can you just detail briefly for the board the type of customer base that Endurance has and who you market to and who you found really goes to endurance for their products and seasonal needs?
Primarily, most of our customers, it's family oriented, the shop. So I've dealt with families. I've been in business at that location since 2000. I've watched the kids who have come into my shop when they were 3 to leased them skis throughout their life, and they turn 16 and then they come and work for me. It's a nice atmosphere. I probably do about 250 seasonal leases each year. And those are return customers or customers who have been brought in by present customers. So I don't have a lot of, just walking by the store kind of customer. My customers are going there for a specific purpose. It's not, like a little art thing that people are going to walk by and go, oh, let's just go check this place out. So my customers have been longtime customers, and I have a particular niche, and there's not really anyone servicing that area. And I love what I do, and I want to continue to do it, but I want to be able to do it in a manner that is going to be profitable, and so I can continue my business.
So as you said, based upon your customer base, obviously this is not a particular location that is going to generate much foot traffic, but that's not something that's going to impact you or your business in a detrimental way. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. Can you just briefly explain to the board how your business would function at this location specifically, what you're planning on doing there?
Again, it would be the same sales and service of ski and snowboard equipment and seasonal leases and daily leases. I plan, my original hours of operation were 10 to 8 Monday through Friday, Saturday 10 to 5, and Sunday 11 to 3. That's what my normal hours are. With the whole COVID program, I'm probably going to readjust those so that I customers to come in, in an early or late schedule. So I will condense my typical hours to try to accommodate people's comfort level and keep people safe during this pandemic.
Okay.
And still give people an opportunity to get outside and do something.
And I would note, reviewing the letter that was provided by you to the township previously, you're only estimating approximately 2 to 3 employees per shift. Is that right?
Yes, I did. It's a small space, kind of a niche thing, so I don't need a huge staff. Obviously, December, I may have a couple of extra people where, most of the time, I don't see it being more than 2 or 3 people.
Okay. And you're familiar with the site already because you're currently leasing space. Is that right?
I am. It's a great place. The people there are terrific. We've had very good luck with our service. We store our equipment there during our off season and also during in season, do some service work on the equipment there.
Okay. And you mentioned COVID. I would note, reviewing your website, that you've outlined a bunch of COVID precautions that you're going to implement at this site if you're approved. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And then I also represented to the board that you believe it's absolutely critical for the survival of your business to get open before the winter season due to what you're selling. Is that right?
Yes. Typically, my customers start to come in and get fitted for the winter season in October. That's been the traditional plan. I don't see that would, change. People are still going to want to be prepared. And again, one of the nice things about skiing is it does offer an outdoor activity in a place where you can social distance and, still have some enjoyment during this pandemic.
Okay. Is there any reason that you're aware of, since you are familiar with the site, as to why this use or operating your business at 225 would be inconsistent or detrimental to the other businesses at the property?
No, I can't see why. I've talked to a couple people there. They seem quite excited to have us there.
All right. Is there anything else that you would like to share with the board about your business?
Not a whole lot more than what we've talked about, just that I personally have been in the business since 1979. I've worked in retail environment as well as sales reps throughout several years. And I love what I do. I'm here to provide, I think, an important service to the area. And I hope that you allow me to do that at 225.
I have nothing further. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McGinnis. Board questions. Bill?
I have none.
Al?
I have nothing. Get moving. It snowed today in Colorado.
Scott? You're muted, Scott.
I'm going to miss the bicycle repair business that you had, but I've got no other questions.
I'm temporarily tabling that. I need to make sure that I can provide a good service. That's always been, kind of a thing that we do. If we can't do it well, we're not going to do it. And I lost a couple of bike mechanics, and I've had a lot of people ask me about being able to service their bicycles, and it isn't something that I let go lightly. But if I can source the people, I would reconsider doing the bicycle service again.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. I have no questions. I don't see this being any more impactful than a busy flooring supply or flooring showroom where people are in and out looking at flooring. So it seems like a decent use. So any public comments, questions?
No public comment.
Thank you. And Matt, nothing received to the township we should know about?
No, nothing.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. McGinnis, anything further?
That is it. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Yep, thank you. Okay, would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make the motion. I move that the application of Endurance Sports Incorporated requesting a use variance from section 209-32 1B parens 1A of the Falls Township zoning ordinance be granted to allow a business that involves the exchange and delivery of merchandise, specifically a showroom with a ski and snowboard rental area at the property located at 225 Lincoln Highway, Suite B1, Fairless Hills, Pennsylvania, 19030, as depicted on the plans and in accordance to the testimony presented to the zoning hearing board.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Scott, poll the board, please.
Myself, yes. Bill?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Al?
Yes.
And Dan?
Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Ms. Caronia. Get to work.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and come see me. We'll take good care of you, get you out on the slopes, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you as always.
Take care.
Appreciate
Have a
it.
good night. Thank you, Mr. McGinnis.
Have a great
Take
night.
care. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. This is petition number 7, Beverly A. McUrea, 24 Fallsington Tullytown Road, Levittown, PA, requesting confirmation of the existence of a permitted non-conforming use, or in the alternative, a use variance to permit a beauty shop on the premises. Mr. Savarese, good evening.
Yes.
I'm going to have
Good evening.
I'm going to have your witnesses and a few of our public comments sworn in at this point. Okay.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would be calling Dr. McUrea as well as her tenant or proposed tenant, Regina Ship.
Okay, great. Also, we have Mr. Fair loaded in the room for, I believe he's going to have something. He needs to be sworn in at some time. So no time like the present. Ms. Ship, Dr. McUrea, and Mr. Fair, your next voice you hear will be our court reporter. You guys are all going to be sworn in, okay?
Yes. Do you all swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
I do. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Savarese, we're going to mark some exhibits for the petition before we get started.
Mr. Chairman, we'll mark the amended application for zoning ordinance appeal as ZHB 1, along with the accompanying hardship letter from applicant. 2 is a letter from Saluna V, I hope I pronounced that right, addressed to Peter Gray, Township Manager. It does not appear to be dated, but we'll make that as Exhibit 2. 3 is a site plan. 4 is a floor plan, for 24 Fallsington Tullytown Road. 5 is 2 pages containing 4 colored photographs, one of which shows that the property was posted for tonight's meeting as required. 6 is the applicant and neighbor notification letters, and also a letter to applicant's attorney. Those, let me rewind. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. 6 will be the neighbor notification letter dated August 28, 2020. Mr. Savarese received notice on July 27th, and the matter was continued on the record. 8 will be proof of publication, Bucks County Courier Times, showing that this matter was published August 25th and again on September 1st, 2020. The matter was republished due to a change in the application. I've been provided with several documents from Mr. Savarese, and what we'll do is he has already pre-marked exhibits. He has exhibits A1 through 9. A1A will be the proof of service sent to the adjoining or abutting property owners as required. Mr. Savarese, if I could ask you, what I have referenced as A1 through 9, that is your exhibits that you have pre-marked and sent to the township. Is that accurate?
That's correct.
Okay, and A1A is the certificate of service, which includes the notice to the adjoining or abutting property owners providing notice of tonight's meeting. Is that accurate?
That's correct.
Okay. Am I missing any of applicants' exhibits at this point?
No, you are not, Mr. Solicitor.
Okay. With that, Mr. Chairman, I'm satisfied. All the appropriate notices have been satisfied, and all the exhibits that we have at this point have been pre-marked. And thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Billingmeyer. Mr. Savarese.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Todd Savarese on behalf of Dr. McCuria. I'm here on behalf of Dr. McCuria in connection with a property that some, if not all, members of the board, zoning hearing board, are familiar with. It is the property commonly known as 2224 Falls Tullytown Road. The property, the specific unit that the application concerns this evening is Unit 24. That unit was most recently used and vacated by a commercial sewing shop. The zoning hearing board back in February 13th of 2018 granted permission to use Unit 24 as a commercial sewing shop. And after certain repairs and renovations were completed, the township issued a certificate of occupancy authorizing the occupancy of Unit 24 as a commercial sewing shop. The board may recall that the adjoining unit, Unit 22, was the subject of an application that the board heard and denied in December of 2019. That matter is on appeal to the Court of Common Pleas. So this application is casted in terms of initially an appeal from the zoning officer's denial of the zoning permit pursuant to Section 20975. I would note, Mr. Billingmeyer, that and the testimony, I believe, will corroborate this, that Ms. Shipp, with Dr. McCuria's permission, interacted with the township administration as early as March or April, right at the beginning of the pandemic, submitted her letter of intent and other documents that the administration required to consider the use of Unit 24 as a beauty shop, which is what's before the board this evening. Eventually, again, I'm assuming as a result of the delays associated with COVID, The township on July 2nd delivered a denial letter with regard to that permit that was dated May 6th. So as a matter of housekeeping, the one piece of relief that is being sought by way of the original application prior to it being amended was an appeal from the zoning officer. Section 20975B requires that appeal to be taken within 30 days of the zoning officer's determination. So under the circumstances, and again, Ms. Shipp will testify more specifically with regard to the chronology, I would request, not to throw a legal term, nunc pro tunc, meaning from the beginning, I would request that the piece of the application that is couched in terms of an appeal from the zoning officer's determination be accepted timely, even though it was filed more than 30 days from the May 6, 2020 letter. In addition to that, the application was amended. It was originally scheduled to be heard by the zoning hearing board at its August meeting. It was subsequently amended to request a use variance, as well as in the alternative, a determination by this board that the property enjoys non-conforming use rights. I have marked, as your solicitor has identified, exhibits A1 through A9. Dr. Mikakuria is very familiar with those exhibits. Many of those exhibits were offered in the context of supporting her claims with regard to the adjoining unit. My intent is not to belabor any of those exhibits, but simply to make a record with regard to both the claim that the property has always historically been used as a use, and uses plural, that have not complied with the NCR use regulations, which basically provide for allowable single-family detached residential uses. So then in the alternative, a use variance, because of the fact that this property has been in the Mikakuria family since 1938. The evidence that will be offered to the board to support the application this evening will include an exhibit A9, which is a compilation of documents covered with a tax map. The second page is an aerial Google image. That exhibit is offered to show that there are properties both adjoining and surrounding Dr. Mikakuria's property that are zoned NCR, but that are being used as commercial purposes. Terry's VW at the corner of New Falls Road and Falls Tellytown Road is an auto repair facility, and the Bray Brothers operation is some type of heavy equipment, commercial equipment facility, which is across the street from the subject property. With those introductory comments, unless the board has any questions from me, I would call Dr. Mikakuria.
Mr. Severus, you give me 1 second. I believe the township, Mr. Cola.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ron Cola for Falls Township. The township is asserting the right to party status on this application, opposing the application in part, not in its entirety. The township takes no position on the request for a variance. However, the township does oppose any determination that the use is pre-existing and non-conforming. So I wanted to ensure that that was on the record, that the township's asserted the right to party status, and I want to ensure that I'm able to cross-examine witnesses should I feel it's appropriate.
Absolutely. We'll be sure to count you in when it's time. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cole.
If I may, Mr. Cole, does the township have a position on the time frame, meaning that they have 30 days from the date of the denial of the zoning officer's determination? Does the township take a position on that?
The township does not.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Severus, your witness.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. I will call Dr. Mikakuria.
Good evening, Dr.
Dr. Mikakuria.
I'm here.
Can you hear me? Are you here? Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Good to see you. Dr. McAree, you're sworn and you're testifying again before the Falls Township Zoning Hearing Board with regard to a property that's owned by McAree Properties located at 2224 Falls Tullingtown Road. Is that correct?
That's correct.
How long has the property at 2224 Falls Tullingtown Road been in your family, in the McAree family?
Well, actually, 2012, 14, 16, and 22, 24 have been owned by we're owned by my parents since 1938.
Okay, and it's all one tax map parcel, is that correct?
Yes.
And that tax map parcel contains a building that's identified as 2224, as well as 2 other residential structures that are leased for residential purposes.
Correct.
The property is currently in the name of McAree Properties, a Pennsylvania general partnership, with you and your sister as the co-partners. Is that correct?
Yes.
And the property before that was in a trust created by your parents with you, your sister, and your deceased brother, Todd, as co-trustees. Is that correct?
Yes.
What is the approximate square footage of just unit 24, one half of the building?
It's about 1,000 square feet.
And what are the approximate number of off-street parking spaces at the entire property surrounding the building?
Of the whole parking lot would accommodate 20 to 25 vehicles.
Right. Do units 22 and 24 have separate electrical meters?
Yeah. Yes.
Has the property ever been used or occupied for any residential use or purpose to your knowledge?
No.
Is there a kitchen in either unit?
No.
Is there a shower or bathtub in either unit?
No.
What non-residential uses, Dr. McAree, has the property been used for to the best of your recollection?
Well, it's been used for beauty salons and tanning salons. It has been used for a photographer and an accountant.
Okay. Who maintains the property currently?
I do. I mean, that is
Have you
the trust does.
Have you or on behalf of the trust always maintained the property and managed the property?
No, I didn't start. There were property managers before I took over. John Erb from Morrisville, and then after John Erb, Schrager was John Schrager. He did.
Did those 2 individual property managers that you just testified about, did they ever market the property for any residential use or purpose?
Not 22 or 24.
Okay, that's what we're talking about, 22 or
Yes,
24.
I mean,
Thank you.
They managed the whole that whole parcel.
Now, specifically, this application that is before the zoning hearing board is made on behalf of your tenant, Regina Schiff. Is that correct?
Yes.
And Ms. Schiff.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Potential tenant.
Thank you. Potential tenant. And you recognize that unless this zoning hearing board grants some form of relief that's being requested vis-a-vis your application, your appeal from the zoning officer's determination, and your amended application seeking both a use variance or, in the alternative, permission to reestablish a beauty shop at unit 24, Ms. Ship cannot take occupancy of the property. Do you understand that, Dr. McAcuria?
Yes, that's why we're here, isn't it?
Okay. So when we're talking about maintaining the property currently, who cuts the grass?
I do.
All right. You physically, personally cut the grass?
On my little mower, and I mow the lawn.
And you grew up at the property at one of the residential units at the property. Is that correct?
Number 12, the one just next to Terry's garage.
And in the wintertime, do you maintain the heat and the utilities, the electric and the oil at the property at 2224?
Yes, yes, I maintain heat and electricity and all the utilities.
And you pay the insurance?
Oh, yes.
All right. Have you made any improvements to 2224, that building? Any improvements with regard to electrical service or new roofing?
Yes, but I had the electricity redone, and I also had a roof, the flat roof fixed.
Okay, and prior to your testimony this evening on behalf before this board, you had an opportunity to review an exhibit package that I prepared comprised of exhibits A1 through A9. Is
Yeah.
that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And those documents we'll go through and identify, but they, for the most part, speak for themselves. But my question is not specific to any one document. Would it be accurate that in that exhibit package at exhibit A2, there is a permit issued by Falls Township for authorizing the installation of new electrical service in 2015?
Yes.
Were you involved in contracting to have new electrical service or the electrical service for the building upgraded
Yes.
in 2015?
2015, yes.
Why were you doing that, Dr. McCuria?
Well, to keep it up to code.
And you also in 2018 in the exhibit package at exhibit A3 is a building permit for a new roof. Were you involved in contracting for a new roof on the property in 2018?
Yes, yes, that was done by, yes.
And the documents with regard to the application for the building permit as well as the issued permit is part of the exhibit pack at A3. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
If I told you that the application or the building permit itself indicated that the cost to replace the flat roof on the building at 2224 Falls Tullytown Road was $16,545. Would that be consistent with your recollection?
Oh, yes. Yes.
And that was a repair that was paid for by or through the partnership, McCuria Properties?
In part, it was part the insurance and part the partnership.
Okay. And now in 2018 at Exhibit A3, if I represented that there's additional electrical work that was performed for the property, would that be consistent with your understanding that additional electrical work was contracted in 2018?
Yes.
What was the last use of Unit 24?
The last use was the sewing shop. It was an industrial sewing shop for things related to boats, boat covers, sail covers, seat covers, just generally boating kinds of work.
And your tenant that was previously in possession of Unit 24 was an Adine Copey?
Copey. Yes.
Okay. And on behalf of Ms. Copey and along with Ms. Copey in February, specifically on February 13th of 2018, you and Ms. Copey, represented by Attorney Russell Sacco, appeared before the Falls Township Zoning Hearing Board and requested similar relief that you're requesting this evening. A use variance or in the alternative, recognition that the property doesn't conform to the NCR use regulations. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And the Zoning Hearing Board acted favorably upon that application. Is that your understanding?
Yes.
After the Zoning Hearing Board acted favorably upon that application, did you have to go through the process of satisfying Falls Township with regard to use and occupancy permits?
Yes.
And if I represented to you in the exhibit package at Exhibit A3 is a commercial certificate of occupancy that was issued by Falls Township on January 25th of 2019. Would that be consistent with your understanding?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. What were the circumstances surrounding Ms. Copey's leaving Unit 24?
She liked Key West better than Pennsylvania in the wintertime.
Did she leave? Did she fulfill her lease obligations to you?
No.
Okay, so she left before her lease term was over?
Before her lease time was over.
Okay.
Mr. Secretary, I'm sorry to interrupt. What was the date of the prior decision? The sewing shop?
The hearing was February 13th of 2018.
Thank you.
That answer your question?
Yes, thanks.
Mm-hmm. Now, what did you do after Ms. Copey vacated Unit 24? And when did she vacate, first of all, approximately?
She vacated on or about December 1st.
Of 2019.
Of 2019. So I immediately put a sign out to rent the unit.
Did you recognize at that point when you posted a sign at the outside the unit that you were going to be obligated to come before the zoning hearing board to get permission for a beauty salon in this instance?
I assumed so.
Okay. So has the property, I believe you testified earlier, has the property ever previously been used as a beauty salon or beauty shop?
Yes, interestingly, when I was checking on the exact date of when those buildings were constructed, the lady from the registrar said that next to the unit was noted that usages were going to be for a beauty salon. So I don't know personally about that first beauty salon. Then the tanning salon had a beauty salon with it as part of it. And I, just by chance, this is sort of a little anecdote, just by chance, my pharmacist told me that she actually had her hair done in the beauty salon in 24 Falls Tullytown Road. So,
Which is the same unit that you're here seeking to qualify on behalf of Ms. Schiff.
yes,
You have a lease agreement with Ms. Schiff that was dated May 8th of 2020.
I do.
All right. Now, in the exhibit package, and as I represented earlier, you heard my introductory statements to the members of the zoning hearing board. Is that correct?
Yes.
And in my introductory statements, I represented that there were certain exhibits that were in the exhibit package that's being offered tonight, this evening, to support your application that were previously marked as exhibits in a prior application involving Unit 22. You realize that, right?
Right.
Okay. And specifically, those exhibits would be the exhibits marked at A2 through A7 of the exhibit packet before the board.
I'm sorry, which?
Well, let me do it this way. Exhibit A2 is an electrical permit for the electrical service. Okay. That was offered previously, correct?
Right.
All right. Exhibit A3 is the permitting history with regard to the sewing. You reviewed those documents?
Yes.
Okay. Exhibit A4 is a commercial lease agreement for a lease term September 10 of 2002 through September 9 of 2005. That was for the tanning salon, correct?
That was for, yes,
A4. And Exhibit A5 was a lease agreement for a term October 1, 2006 through September 30 of 2009. Is that correct?
yes, that's correct. That was
when the accountant moved out and the tanning salon took over the accountant's space.
yes.
And at that time, did you realize that you would have to come before the Falls Township Zoning Hearing Board to permit the tanning salon to take over Unit 22?
No, I didn't realize that they would have to since they were there already.
So the tanning salon was there already.
Yes.
Was there a relationship a familial relationship between the accountant that was renting Unit 22 and the tanning salon that was renting Unit 24?
Yes, the person owning 20 or renting 22 was either I think it was the daughter, but it might have been the niece of the owner of the accountant.
How long was the accountant in Unit 22? If you can
My
estimate.
estimate of how long he was there is in excess of 20 years.
And now Exhibit A6 is an unexecuted commercial lease. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And that was a situation, like you testified in December of 2019, you thought you had a deal with an internet company and you couldn't come to an agreement on the business terms.
Well, that's correct. We actually agreed on it, but then when I gave him the lease, he changed it around. And if you look at it, you can see that it's been written on. He changed it around so that the amount agreed upon was not what we had agreed upon. So I felt that I didn't want to have to deal with someone who would do something like that. So I canceled the rental.
Okay, so when eventually the tanning salon moved out of the building and the building sat vacant for over a year, is that correct?
After the tanning,
I said, let me start over. Eventually,
it's broken up. So,
okay. Eventually, the tanning salon, after taking over the entirety of the building,
yes,
moved. You evicted them.
That's correct.
Okay. And when approximately was that?
That was around 2012.
Okay. So from 2012 until you appeared before the zoning hearing board in 2018 in connection with the sewing shop application, both Unit 22 and Unit 24 sat vacant. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Exhibit A7, I'll represent to you, Dr. Micaria, is a Weicker Real Estate listing agreement dated October 26th of 2013. Are you familiar with that document?
Yes.
Was the purpose of that document to hire a real estate company to market and hopefully secure a tenant for the property at 2224?
Yes.
And in addition to signing a listing agreement, what else, if anything, did you do after the tanning salon moved out or after you evicted the tanning salon and prior to entering into the listing agreement that's marked as Exhibit A7 in an effort to secure a replacement tenant?
Yes, I had, before I contracted with Weicker, I had tried signage outside. I had tried listing it in the Courier Times, and it had been listed on Craigslist as well.
So even though it was sitting vacant, you were making efforts to try to secure a substitute tenant for both units.
Absolutely.
Have you ever intended to use the property for any use other than a non-residential use?
No. That would just.
Do you, as you're testifying this evening, do you believe you ever had any intention to use 2224 Falls Tullytown Road as a residential property for residential uses?
No, I would have had to do a lot of changing the whole building around to accommodate a person living there.
Well, would it be suitable for a person living there as a residence?
Well, I guess it depends who you are. I would not find it suitable to be living there. It's a slab floor. There's no kitchen. There's no bathroom, no full bath. There's a toilet and a basin, a wash basin.
Now, take a look at Exhibit A9, which I will represent. The cover page of Exhibit A9 is a printout of a tax map from the Bucks County Board of Assessments. Do you have that exhibit before you?
Yes.
Okay, your parcel is 132402, correct?
Correct.
Now, I have highlighted on Exhibit A9, page 1, 3 other surrounding parcels. Do you see those highlighted parcels?
Yes.
Can you testify, Dr. Micaria, what those parcels are and what they're used for?
Well, the 13020-307, that's the corner of Falls Tullytown Road and New Falls Road, and that's Terry's. My dad sold that to him, I don't remember when, but anyway, that used to be our front lawn, but Dad sold it, and he actually sold it to Esso, and Terry came way later.
What is Terry's? What's it used for currently?
A VW repair station.
Has it always been used as some kind of auto repair or filling station, to your knowledge?
Well, Terry bought it from Exxon.
So when it was used by Exxon, was it a filling station?
Well, yeah, Esso became Exxon, and then Exxon sold it to Terry because I guess they didn't want to be there anymore.
So Terry does auto repair at the corner of Falls, Tullytown Road and New Falls
Correct.
Road. Now, what about the 2 other properties across the street?
Yeah, then there's 13-024-032, and then 13-024-029, and they're all part of the Bray Brothers complex, and Bray Brothers does heavy construction and does heavy construction.
Are either of those properties that you just identified used for single-family residential uses?
No, they're both, they're garage for, I don't know, I guess they're equipment repair. There's an office, and there's a big parking lot for them to park their big trucks in. And there's not landfill, but stones, crushed stones there. They have some kinds of things that I guess they use.
All right, now take a look at the second page of Exhibit A9. And I'll represent to you, Dr. Micaria, that that's a Google aerial photograph of your property as well as the surrounding properties.
Yes. Oh, yeah. So you can see the big trucks there in the heavy machine room. Oh.
Okay, so you're referring to the Bray Brothers property across the street? Okay, and then in the second page of Exhibit A9 at the corner is Terry's VW that you testified about a moment ago?
Right.
Right. Now, do you recognize as Exhibit A9, in addition to having the tax map as well as the aerial photograph, as containing documents that were secured on your behalf from the Bucks County Board of Assessments?
I'm sorry, say again.
Do you recognize Exhibit A9 as containing documents that were secured on your behalf from the Bucks County Board of Assessments office?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the third page indicates at the top left-hand corner, Anna and Tafumi Micaria. Are they your parents?
Yes, they were my parents.
And then to the right of that, highlighted, is the record of ownership. It says NCR. Do you see that designation?
Yes.
Okay. And below that, it indicates your name as well as your sister, Mary Jane, and your deceased brother. I believe that should say Todd, not two.
It should
correct?
be Todd, not two.
Okay. All right. And now go 2 more pages in. And I'm going to the page that shows the square box in the middle of the graph paper.
Yes.
Have you seen this document before you were placed under oath and asked to testify in connection with this application?
Yes, I did.
Does this document indicate, or this particular page of Exhibit A9 indicate the year that the property at 2224 Falls Tullytown Road was erected?
Yes, that was 1966.
Does this exhibit indicate on it what uses uses of the property existed back in 1966?
Yeah, this is consistent with the lady said from the registrars. Yes, it says beauty salon and photographer.
Now the remaining documents I'll speak for themselves, but they're the actual Board of Assessment records with regard to Terry's VW as well as the Bray Brothers properties. Okay, do you agree with that?
Yes.
Do you believe, Dr. Micaria, that that the use of Unit 24 as a beauty shop, if approved by the zoning hearing board members, will alter the essential character of the neighborhood or be detrimental to the public health, safety, or welfare?
No, I don't believe it will be. It had been a salon for so long that it almost was a part of being there.
They are all the questions I have for Dr. Micaria. Thank you, Doctor.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. McRae. Mr. Cola, any questions for Dr. McRae?
I do. I have a few. Dr. McAree, I want to go back and focus on the bit about the beauty parlor. There isn't currently a beauty parlor there on the property, correct?
Not now, no.
Or a barber shop?
No,
Or any kind of tanning salon?
no, not anymore.
So how long ago was there a beauty shop on the property?
They were there until 2012.
Okay.
That's my approximation. It may have been 13.
So it's fair to say about 7 or 8 years ago?
Yeah.
Okay. Those are the only questions I have for the witness.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Severese, we're going to open it up for some board questions now for Dr. McRae. Okay. Bill?
Yeah, I have one. Yes, you testified there's enough room for 20 or 25 cars in the parking lot, but yet on the plans that you submitted, I only count 13. So
13? Where did you, on the one side, maybe?
I'm going by what you submitted to the township. I don't know what the other side dictates.
Oh, I gave you.
Yeah, what I submitted was just for 22.
Right.
That was on my original applicant. The hand drawn.
Just for 24, right?
Yeah, 24. I'm sorry. Yes.
All right, so we're not sure on parking spots yet. Okay.
Well, that's what when I said 20 to 25, I was talking about for both sides.
And how long has the building been vacant this time?
December 1st, if she moved out when she told me she was going to.
All right, that's all I have for now.
Thank you. Al?
How many chairs? I see 4 employees at the open is what you plan on doing? So you plan on having 4 seats?
Yeah, I
like-
plan on starting with 4 chairs, and then if there's room for, if it's there, maybe up to 6. There wouldn't be much room for more than that.
Okay, so you'll have enough parking for the 4 chairs.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay, that's all I have.
Yep.
Scott?
I've got no questions at this time.
Okay. Mr. Fair, I see that you're loaded in here for public comment, but did you want to pursue party status in this
Yes.
matter? You would? Okay. Keith, any information you need from Mr. Fair?
Mr. Fair, if you just state your address for the record.
140 Falls Township.
And did you receive a letter? Let me rewind. You're not an abutting property owner, is that right?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, it's to the board's discretion whether to grant him party status. He is a township resident, and I believe he lives in close proximity to this address.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with that. Any of the other board members have any objection to Mr. Fair becoming party status? Becoming
No.
Party to this?
No.
Scott?
No. Objection.
Yeah. I believe, I'm not sure, we may have granted Mr. Fair party status in the past on one of the other properties on this parcel area.
I believe we have.
It's directly pertinent, but.
Yeah, and what we typically do is have the person sign with their address. Mr. Fair, since we're conducting this by Zoom, what I'll probably end up doing is mailing you out paperwork, having you sign it, and just return it to my address.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Mr. Fair, now that we've granted you party status, obviously we'll allow you proper time here to ask any questions of Dr. McArea about her testimony so far. We'll give you the opportunity to close at the appropriate time. So,
I have a question. Exhibit 3, I think you guys referred this to in the beginning, this map here. This was part of the package.
the parking.
13 parking spots.
Yep.
I'd like to know, does anybody know how deep a handicap parking spot has to be? Who drew this?
I drew it, but I was given it by Diane Bree. She actually told me to just copy what Adine Cope, or whatever her name is, had submitted for the previous use and occupancy.
So we got to review over this because this handicap spot here is less than 9 feet deep. Handicap spots and all parking spots have to be 18. So if we eliminate the top 3 along the building, we're down to 10. If we take all the parking spots that are 57 feet off the curb to the corner of the building because we fall under 31 feet, we eliminate all of them. So we're down to about 5 parking spots that are still illegal, but you might have to get a variance because you don't have the 18 feet of depth and the 25 foot of the 2-way road. So we're down to 5 parking spots at best.
I hate to interrupt, Mr. Farr, but
how are we? I'm asking her a question. How are we going to pit the 4 people that are sitting in the chairs with the 4 employees in this parking lot?
Mr. Savary, do you have an objection?
I do. There's no relief being requested with regard to the zoning ordinance's off-street parking criteria, section 209-42, paren H11. 1 space for every 180 square feet of floor area, plus 1 space for each employee. I spoke with Ms. Ship prior to the hearing and asked her if she would accept as a condition upon the grant of relief, a maximum of expansion of a total of 6 employees. She currently has 4, and she indicated that she would be accepting of a condition such as that.
Part of the intent letter, it clearly states site plan indicating location of accessible parking spaces and accessible route to the entrance of the building. Well, this plan is already wrong. Unless you're going to drive a handicapped person to this place on a moped or a smart car, where are you parking them, sir? Where are you parking them? And you're the one that said health, safety, and welfare of the residents. They have to park somewhere. You can't have 4 parking spots for 4 employees up to 6 and people coming there. And that's not even counting our handicap parking spot. which is going to have to be van accessible because you only have one. So you need the hash marks. The rest of the property on the side of the building does not meet. You can't just park them haphazardly. You're the one that said health, safety, and welfare. The doctor testified that this is not going to be a safety problem. The parking over in front of Mr. Hose's house, they are a safety problem, sir.
Are you arguing with me? I would just ask that you, if you have a question of one of the two witnesses.
I'm just asking where are we parking these people? I asked who drew this? Okay.
I answered that. Adine drew that, and then Diane Berry gave it to me and just said submit the same thing.
This isn't part of what you're supposed to be doing. This isn't correct. You have to show what it says here. Site plan indication.
Well, then why wouldn't Diane send it back to me?
And accessible route to the entrance of the building.
You have a question, Mr. Farr?
Yes. How are you going to ensure the health, safety, and welfare of the people showing up there? How?
Ms. Shipp testified that she believes that she has adequate parking for her clientele. There's no request for any type of relief associated with the parking requirements. This is a non-conforming use application and a use variance. Property has been used for multiple non-residential uses, and many cars have parked and come and gone, as you know from your earlier testimony, from that location. I understand you have an issue with parking, and I respect that, but you know, ask questions.
I did. How are you going to ensure the health, safety, and welfare?
I would just like to say that I'm sure if we got this pushed through and I had the use of occupancy or what the hell ever, that we would make sure that there was enough ample, deeply spaced and sized and appropriately appointed spaces for handicap or not and employees.
Oh, that's fine, but I'm telling you, there's not.
Can I?
Well, I'm sure we'll figure that out with the help of the township.
Excuse me, let me ask you a question of Mr. Tequita. Matt, this will be subject to a new use and occupancy permit, correct?
Yes, there'll be an inspection conducted for the occupancy.
And at that time, we will be, making sure that all the criterions met for parking and everything. This is user or applicant submitted drawings that have been put forth here. They're not the township's drawings. They're obviously it's a hand-drawn parking map, so that would all have to be subject to the township. At that time, if the township were to find that there is not ample parking, what would happen at that point? They'd have to bring it up to their specification?
Yes. Or they'd have to reappear before this board to get a variance for parking ratios.
For the parking issues, correct, okay. And that would be 1,000 square feet, so about five spots there, and plus another 4 for the employees, so they need 9 to 10.
I would also like to state that all employees won't be there at the same time, and that's, 5 is really pushing it.
Okay.
I think we'll have plenty of parking.
Okay, Mr. Farrow, shed a little light on that for you through the township's eyes of what will transpire, after this meeting, if anything were to pass. Okay. Any further board comments, questions in light of any of the questions, any of the testimony so far?
Yeah, I do, Dan. Now, Beverly, you said this was a hair salon years ago. Now, with the parking then, where was the overflow parking going?
I don't know if they needed it. I don't ever remember seeing problems with it.
Well, like Mr. Fair brought up, and I'm starting to think, because now you rent the right side of this building, but you said there's 7 spots available on the left side, which is 24. So you said there's 7 spots available on 24 side. Is that correct? 7 parking spots on the 24 side?
I would say at least.
Okay. And that's about all you have on the 24 side?
I believe she said 20 to 25 on the entire surrounding the entire building, and half of those would be dedicated to the one unit, but not necessarily exclusively. So if there was a user to take possession of Unit 22 in the future, there's not exclusive parking one way or the other. The sum of all of the available parking would be available to the users. And as the chairman indicated, Dr. McArea would have to satisfy the township. There's a provision in your ordinance that if it warrants by special exception, we can come in and request a reduction. I'm not suggesting there's not enough parking. I'm just suggesting that a request for a relief is not being made this evening. And we recognize that parking will need to be established per the off-street parking requirements of the code. But I believe that the testimony was 20 to 25, not 7. Mr. Farr may have said 7, not Dr. McArea.
I thought I heard her say that there's about seven on her side. I thought I heard her say on 24 side. Okay, that's all I have.
Scott, anything else?
I'm sorry, I'm not.
You're muted, Scott.
I have nothing at this time, Dan.
All right, no further board comments or board questions at this time. Mr. Savarese, anything further?
I was just going to call Ms. Shipp very briefly. A lot of the testimony has already been covered, but I would call Ms. Shipp just to testify and verify that the information contained in her letter of intent is true and accurate. Is that correct, Ms. Shipp?
Yes, to the best of my knowledge.
And the hours of operation that you're proposing as set forth in your letter of intent would be your intention, and you'd be prepared to accept as a condition that those hours be fixed as set forth in that letter of intent?
Yes.
As well, I represented earlier that you would be willing to accept a condition if the board were to act favorably upon the application that no more than 6 employees could be working from your salon at any one time.
Yep, that's correct.
They are all the questions I have.
Mr. Cola?
I have no questions for this witness.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Fair?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, any board comments, questions for Ms. Shipp about her testimony about the operation of the salon?
I have none.
I have none, Dan.
Any other public comments?
No public comment.
Okay, Mr. Savarese?
Mr.
Yes, thank
you. I'm sorry to cut you off, Mr. Savarese. If we could just check with Mr. Takita to make sure that no one has
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, any emails or
No, there were none.
Okay, yep, thank you. Thanks, Mr. Billingmeyer. Mr. Savarese, care to close?
Yes, very briefly, thank you. So the building, according to the testimony, has been used since 1966 for purposes that do not comply with the NCR use regulations. Therefore, on behalf of Dr. McArea, we've requested in the alternative that she be permitted to continue what was once a beauty salon at that location. In the alternative, we believe that under the circumstances with the surrounding properties, the configuration of the existing building, the fact that it's never been used for any residential purpose, the lack of any bathroom facilities or showering facilities or kitchen facilities, the cost associated with retrofitting that unit as a residence, even if it was otherwise suitable, which I would respectfully submit it's not, would be prohibitive and is not necessary because the property has always been used for uses that don't conform to the zoning regulations. And I would note, and as part of the application that was submitted, including Dr. McArea's hardship letter, that this property falls on the boundary of the NCR zoning district and is not very far from and I apologize, I forget the designation, but across New Falls Road is the zoning district that specifically permits by right beauty shops and service businesses. So it's unfortunate that the line fell on the side of New Falls Road, Falls Tullytown Road where it fell. But that's an issue legislatively if the Board of Supervisors felt it was appropriate to address. If the relief that's being asked for, whether it be the use variance or the request to recognize a constitutional right to continue a non-conforming use of the building that's never been abandoned is not accommodated, there certainly would be a hardship, because now not only would Dr. McMaria not be able to use and enjoy Unit 22, which is currently the subject of an appeal to the Court of Common Pleas, but she would be prevented from using Unit 24 as well. I know counsel for the township, he and I, Mr. Kukula, have spoken, and I recognize his position and I respect his position, but I would advocate on behalf of Dr. McMaria that the legal standard is under the Falls Township zoning ordinance, 1 year of non-use gives rise to a presumption of abandonment, but it's a rebuttable presumption. And that the evidence that was both submitted at the prior hearing, as well as the evidence that's been regurgitated on this record, exhibits A2 through A7 and now A9, I respectfully submit is more than sufficient to rebut that presumption of abandonment. And the legal standard in that situation is that the burden of proving abandonment then falls on the objector or objectors. And, you know, I don't believe there has been any proof that Dr. McMaria ever intended to abandon the use of the property. But in the alternative, we would respectfully submit that denying the relief in its entirety would work an undue hardship that would entitle her to a variance, whether classical, conventional variance or a variance by estoppel. Members of the Zoning Hearing Board, it's undeniable that this building has been in existence and has never been used for residential purposes since 1966. So some type of relief would appear to be appropriate. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Savarese. Mr. Cola.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to reiterate what the township's position here is on this application. We do not oppose the idea of the board granting Dr. McMaria a variance, but we do oppose the idea that there is this permitted prior conforming use. And here's why. A lawful non-conforming use is a use that predates the enactment of any zoning restrictions that the township would put in place. And the right to continue that legal non-conforming use is entitled to the constitutional protection of due process. A lawful non-conforming use establishes in the property owner a vested property right, which cannot be abrogated or destroyed unless it is a nuisance, or it is abandoned, or is extinguished by eminent domain. Here we have a situation of abandonment. Yes, the property was previously used as a beauty parlor, but that use was abandoned and effectively divested Dr. McMaria of that right to use the property that way. In fact, it's been 7 or 8 years since the property was a beauty parlor. That specific use was abandoned, and it was intentional because the property was rented to a different sort of tenant that was not a beauty salon. So, you know, in closing, there is no prior conforming use or non-conforming use, excuse me. But again, the township does not oppose a variance.
Thank you, Mr. Cole. Mr. Fair, your closing statement?
Yeah, I contend that if this is going to resort back to a use that was there, I'm going to have to say that the sewing shop, because they lived there, Mr. Hose and his son testified, as well as I did, that them cars never changed 24/7. There was a trailer parked out back that they were showering in, and they had a grill going. So I'm saying, it's my opinion, and only my opinion, that if we're going to resort back to anything, it goes back to residential. Bringing Terry's VW into this, bringing Bray Bars into this, they all have ample parking. They can sustain all the customers they need plus some. They have room for their big trucks over Braves. They have room for all the VWs plus their customers at Terry's. You want to go by what this says. It simply says in here that you have to accessible parking spaces and accessible route to the entrance. They didn't do that. So this whole application, in my opinion, isn't any good. They didn't show where the parking spot is. They did, but you better bring a Yugo because you ain't parking a car there. And there's no accessible route. So they are the ones saying health, safety, and welfare. They're the ones saying they have an accessible route on this on your application. It's your letter of intent that they didn't follow. They didn't follow the 30 days. These people don't follow too much of stuff, and all of a sudden they want everything. The law is the law. You know, what's right is right. You got Riker Realtor back in 2012 marketing the thing. Nobody's renting it because the parking is horrible. It's only a low volume place. Now they're not there for parking, but the health, safety, and welfare is the responsibility of the township. If they can't put a use in there that's safe, there is no 7 spots. It's simple math. You got 32 feet from the building to the grass, minus 18. What's it leave you? Not enough for a cartway. Even the rest of the property falls a few feet short, especially if you put bollards in, you're gonna be 4 or 5 feet short. Nothing works here. Health, safety, and welfare for our township residents. It's not our fault that the building fell out of use. Like I said at the last one, we knocked an Acme down. It was a beautiful Acme. You know, it's not our problem that this isn't a great spot. We can't just disregard the laws or the safety of the community because we want to turn this back into a beauty shop after someone's been living there claiming it was a boat shop. It's my opinion that it was a residence, okay, or a sewing shop. If this cars don't change 24/7, then someone's living there, unless they're getting dropped off and picked up and the same cars are broke down in the parking lot. And you don't have a sign up, you don't have a phone number, you're not listed, you don't have the hours on it, you have curtains.
Is this closing statement or is this testimony? Because if this is part of the record, then I would have an opportunity to cross-examine Mr. Farrar. My understanding was it's
my
not part
closing
of the
statement,
testimony.
and I didn't interrupt you, Mr. Severese. You bored the crap out of me for how long? Listen to me for a little bit, would you?
Mr. Fair, I mean, we just asked for some decorum. Also, this is a closing statement, so I mean, you can give your final closing remarks based upon the testimony.
That's my final remarks. They did not clearly, as it states here, accessible parking space and accessible route. That is not included, and it says items that must be included with this letter of intent. And if we're worried about the health and wealth, the safety of our township, we'll deny this thing in whole.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fair. I am going to request that we take a brief recess here into a breakout room. Kyle, can we make that happen for the board and our solicitor?
Yeah, give us a moment. We'll move you to another room.
Thank you. Okay, back on the air, back on the record. We've heard all the closing from everyone, so at this point, I think it's appropriate to ask for a motion.
I'll make a motion. I move that the applicant at Beverly Mercuria requesting a use variance for section 209-20 of the Falls Township zoning ordinance be granted to permit a beauty shop at property located at 24 Fallsington Town Road, Levittown, Pennsylvania, 19054, as depicted on the plans in accordance with testimony presented to the zoning hearing board.
Do we have a second?
Muted, bro.
Back on the air, back on the record.
I'm sorry. If there's no second to that motion, the motion then would not survive. I think it'd be appropriate to ask if there's any other motions.
Would someone like to make a counter motion or another motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion. I move that the application of Beverly Makira be denied.
Do we have a second?
I second that.
Scott, pull the board, please. A affirmative answer is to deny. A negative answer is against that. Would be to approve, if so. Scott, pull the board, please.
Myself, no. Al?
To deny, no.
Did I say that?
Yeah.
So
deny,
the vote
yeah.
to deny, if you're voting to deny, would be a yes.
I'm voting yes.
Okay.
Deny.
Pull the
Al?
board.
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
And Dan?
Yes.
And if I can just, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, the motion to deny, that Al Brooks made, that motion would be to deny on both of there's two separate requests. And Mr. Brooks, I should have did this before the vote. Your motion, did it include one or both, of the requests?
Both.
Both. Okay.
Both.
Mr. Chairman, I think it'd be appropriate to ask the board members to vote. And again, I should do that prior to the vote.
Okay. So
Just so the record's clear.
there's been a motion presented to deny the application on both counts. One would be the continuing non-conforming use and the new use variance request. So the motion is to deny on both those counts. Do we have a second?
May I get
Excuse me,
clarification? Would that include the motion to deny the appeal from the zoning officer's determination as well? Because there are three components to the relief that was requested. I requested permission to allow that appeal to be deemed timely, and I understand now the board's inclined to deny the relief. So I would ask that the motion, the board determine whether the appeal's permissible out of time, and if so, include that in its motion to deny, if appropriate.
So it would include, I'm sorry, so it would include the original application and also the amended request. Is that what you're asking, Mr. Savarese?
I am asking that, but unless the board grants the threshold request that I made to allow the appeal from the zoning officer's denial of the permit to be timely because it was filed more than 30 days after the letter came out, then that's, I would ask that request be granted. And I understand where the board's going with regard to the denial of the overall application. But as a matter of housekeeping, I would like to have a ruling on the timeliness of the appeal from the zoning officer's determination denying the zoning permit.
Very well. What I would do then is, since Mr. Brooks made the motion, I would ask him, would his motion also include that?
Yep.
All three requests.
Yep.
Are you satisfied, Mr. Savarese? Well, then,
yeah. Would it include initially the allowing the appeal to be filed more than 30 days from the zoning officer's letter, and then the denial of that appeal? You follow what I'm saying?
I do, but I don't know if the board has the authority
I don't have it yet.
to grant you that.
Okay, I just want to be on the record as having made that request non-pro-tunc based on the fact that the zoning officer's letter was dated more than 30 days prior to the deadline to file a zoning appeal.
Very well. And again, I think you heard Mr. Brooks that it would be a denial on all those grounds that you just stated. And then I would ask for, if that's still his motion, then I think it'd be appropriate to see if there's a second and then ask for a new vote on all three of those bases.
Thank you.
Okay, so Mr. Brooks, that is clear. That is your motion, all three grounds?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, if you want to take it from there, sorry.
Okay, thank you. Yes, so on Mr. Brooks's motion, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
So it is a motion to deny. An affirmative answer is to deny. Scott, pull the board, please.
Myself, yes. Al,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
and Dan.
Yes. Okay. Thanks, Ms. Savarese. Thank you, Dr. McCrea. Thank you, Ms. Ship.
Thank you. Mr. Savarese, as you know, I'll send a decision letter out within 45 days.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Be safe. Have a good night. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yep. You as well.
All right, call this, we'll wait for the room to clear.
They denied the salon.
Are they going to clear the room?
I believe, yeah. Okay, so with that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it. Somebody.
All in favor?
Second.
Aye. Okay, good night, everybody.